Good morning, guys. Matt from Blake's Capital here today. So today I wanted to just go over like swing trades. So my definition of a swing trade is where you hold it for, anywhere from like 1 to 2 weeks or however long your thesis holds and how your stops hold. So generally, like maybe like anywhere from like two days to a couple weeks. We'll use that for our definition today. It could be a bit longer depending on your time frame, but that's what we'll use for today. So what I'm going to do is we're going to map out our 4 swing trades for today, and you guys can kind of look and see where I put my support lines and my profit targets and all that kind of stuff, and like what kind of things you're looking for. So typically, if we're going long, everything in short is basically just reverse. So for a long trade, we're looking for either to catch a bottom or like a back test. So like here for Disney, we get like a back test and a stoke curl down here. So you're going to want to try and catch one of those. Or you're going to wait for breakout where this one here will work. And then the idea is for it to break out and then back test, get it on the back test, and then or scale in on the first breakout and then add to it on the back test. There's a million different ways to do a swing trade. Like you can do a partial position on the breakout. You can like scale your profits out. You can sell 25% at profit target 1, 25% at profit target 2, etc., etc. Or you can go all in, all out. Everybody's strategy is going to be different. I've been leaning more towards the scaling out portion because then you're at least locking in profits. And then if you get a pullback, you can add back with some of your profits. So I'm kind of more of a fan of the scaling in, scaling out. I like doing spreads and just taking 50% of my profit just because I find that's pretty low risk for the most part and you don't have to babysit it as much. So a good example of a breakout would be TTD on last week. So this one was it's been basing in this channel, since June. And then it finally broke out over this 255 level. And then it just skyrocketed up $12, or sorry, way more than $12, $23. And for this situation, I don't think it back tested. So let's turn that off. Oh, okay, it did. So it did back test here. So broke up over here on this first bar. I think around 9:30. My time zone's off. There's Toronto. So is that right at 9:30? Yeah, 10:30. So 10:30 breaks over our resistance line of the channel at 255. Bounce, back test, almost back test the top there. And then we have a hammer candle, and then it based again, and then when it finally broke over 257, it just went straight up the rest of the day. So your entry would have been probably somewhere where this hammer candle held here, and then broke up, and then you would put your stop in underneath. So like if you wanted a really tight stop, you'd put it in like under the hammer candle here, so like 252-ish. Or if you wanted a really tight stop and just wanted to risk like 50 cents or $1, you just put it in slightly under there. So you could see that it didn't actually go under that resistance or support, again. And then you could have just rode the 1 hour all the way up and made like really, really nice profit on that day. So that's the breakout play. That's what we were looking for there. A bottom play, good example. So I traded Netflix and Tesla bottoms. I used different time frames. I also didn't let these run enough, but I've just been trying to lock in profit lately, so I haven't been doing quite as many swing trades just because I'm not really sure when the market's going to top out. So, you know, I try and just make like $100 or $200 every trade and walk away and try and be happy with that. So Netflix is a really good example. So it had earnings miss, or I didn't really read the details into it. So huge gap down here, drop, 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 drop. I traded it off the 15-minute chart. The hour chart would work too. So we get a stochastic cross here. It's really hard to see, but we get a 5-10 moving average cross as well. So like, yeah, like I traded this from like, I don't even know, like 310 to 312 or something once it broke out over there. But then it just like kept running. So if you were to swing that, like you could have bought even like some 320s or something and just like held them. It would have cost you not very much money, like probably like less than $500 a contract, and then just wrote it up. So like those contracts that I sold, I made like $150. If I would have held it till here, I would have made like way over $2,000 because they were, I think they were 314 strikes. I can't remember exactly, but so anyways, that would have been a great example of a swing trade here. So this would be trying to catch the bottom. Your risk is, you know, it goes up to here after this breakout and like gets rejected at 312 or whatever, 314, like one of these resistance levels. So this is like higher risk or like less probability probably than the breakout plays, but your reward can be pretty good. So generally that's what I'm looking for is either, ideally you want to catch one of these in like a bull market. So like S&P, another good example. So I'll leave those. So we'll go back to the daily chart. So it goes up and then it comes back down to test the previous resistance. So like down here. So we get a break up and then we get a back test of support. And then once it's over support, you'd buy there, put your stop somewhere around here, and then just ride it up. And then you can like try and sell, like sell at resistance or trim at resistance, like whatever you need to do. So, so yeah, those are just the kind of few different strategies to look for. Everybody's different. You kind of have to figure out what works for you and and like scale your position sizing accordingly. But those are just like different kind of like breakouts or patterns, and you can look for patterns too, like the cup and handles, all that kind of stuff, right? So there's a million different ways to do this. So, anyways, we'll go over my ones for this week. Most of these are going to be more for educational this week. You can take them if you want to, but I just wanted to do one of each kind of type I look for. So generally I try and find 4 to 6 trades a week, and one's going to be a blue chip, if not 2. One IPO, which are going to be higher risk, but they move pretty nicely. So they're like which one did I do the other day? Beyond Meat. That one went really well. CrowdStrike, that one went really well too. So you just kind of look for the setups, and there's a lot of people watching and trading these stocks, so it's pretty good to just keep an eye on them, but you're not going to use the same amount as you would with a blue chip. Okay, so we're going to go over Disney first. I'll post all these in the swing trade and on Trello. So we're going to pick out our trend lines here. So that looks pretty good there. So when we're drawing trend lines, we want to try and get as many data points as we can in. So, you know, I got like 5 data points. That's pretty good. So now we're going to draw our support and resistance lines. So we're looking for the breakout of this. We'll call it 36. I think that's off by a couple pennies, but we'll go with that. So this one's going to be a breakout, or we're going to catch it on the back test to this this trend line here. And then we need our support lines. Yeah, there's one. There. right, those look pretty good to me. So we're just trying to catch either the bottoms or the tops of these candles. Maybe I'll bring that one up a little bit. Yeah, that looks better. So we're just trying to catch as many candles across here. You're not going to be perfect, but you're just trying to catch as many data points as you can. And like you can keep adjusting. And like this one could probably drop down a couple pennies to like down here. I'm going to use these ones for now. And then profit target. So like this one's in blue skies right now. So we are going to use psychological levels for these. So I'm going to turn my magnet off. So break 145. We're probably going to look for like 140, 147 and a half. I'll adjust these in a second. 149 and a half. And then 150 plus here. So yeah, maybe we'll do like 152. So we're going to make sure our indicators aren't too overbought. So so you can see here, I use the stochastic a lot. RSI is good too. I've been experimenting with the MACD lately. I like it. I haven't decided if I'm going to keep the MACD or the RSI yet, but so what the MACD does is it's a momentum indicator as well. I think these are two moving averages. I think it's the 9 and the 26, if I remember correctly. And then this is momentum in buying or selling. So we look for trend changes in these. So here, like this was selling till there, and then it starts decreasing, and then this will come up, and then start going green. So that's when you can look to buy. So when this hits 0, and then if these two are both 0 as well, then that's like a pretty good probability of a trend change. So I've been using that lately. I'll stay tuned. I'll maybe do a video on that later. Okay, so Disney. This one is a breakout. So what we're looking for is a break and back test of 145. So that's the first buy trigger. The second buy trigger would be a back test of this trend line. So the write-up will be for this. And then I don't actually know. So all your numbers are going to change. So like if I'm using this as my breakout target, so buy here, 145, your stops are going to go, actually I'll probably throw in one more support level there. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so your first stop, like if you wanted a really tight stop, would be somewhere under here. You'd want to wait for that back test, like the one we just looked at. You'd want to wait for a back test rather than putting in your stop right away. So probably you could probably start your stop at the second support line, and then once you clear this, then you can move your stop up. That's a pretty good strategy. Is just like ratcheting your stop up or taking profits on the way up. So whichever you guys needed to do for your account. I'm going to take this out to there. Okay. So we're going to adjust these. Trading these is hard to pin the actual price if you're not using the magnet. Okay. Okay, so we'll update this. So we're going to put this chart up in Slack. So I'll just be doing this off to the side here. You guys can go review. I'll just explain it, and then you can go reference it in Slack, okay? All right, so buy trigger. Break and back test of 145.3-ish, or back test to the trend line. Stops, 1. So I'll give an option for a tight stop. So we'll use like probably like 145.50, because we don't want to get. Oh, sorry, 144.50. That's not right. 144.5. So we don't want to put it right here. So at the top of these candles, there's like 144.78 looks to be like a little bit of, or somewhere around that area, looks to be resistance. So we don't want to put it right there because it's probably going to come back test that. So I gave it a little bit more breathing room down here. You could probably go a little bit lower than that because you don't want to get stopped out early, but it's all comes down to what amount you guys want to risk and what your position sizing is. So second one we got 144.5. We'll do 140, 143.5. So that's under 143.8, and then gives you a couple cents of breathing room, and then we'll do probably like 142 will be like a looser stop. So again, if you buy the back test to this trend line, if it goes there, you would just drop your levels down. So you'd use like 140, just under 142, just under 141, and then just under 140. So you just have to adjust all that, and then we're going to go over our profit targets next. For this one, it's blue skies, so I just picked psychological levels. These are kind of just outside the Bollinger Bands here, so the idea is it's going to hopefully like widen a little bit and not get us shaken out there. So like this probably is going to have to come back down and test down here again and go back up just because the Bollinger Bands are so tight, but you know, it's hard to say. No real crazy volume on those last two green days, but so prop targets. First one will be 147.50, maybe even slightly 147 maybe, so you can make like a buck 50 or so on each each share, and then 149.50, and then 152. So those would be my three profit targets, and then you can just kind of either take profits, ratchet your stop losses up, whatever you need to do there. Okay. So put those in Slack. So we got 147 to 147.5, 149.50, and then 152 plus. 150 is probably going to act as resistance too. So there. Okay, so there's Disney done. Looks good to me. Okay, so next one we're going to do is Slack. So Slack's one of the IPOs. Depending on how many days of trading this has had, you may have to use an hourly chart to find your resistance levels and stuff. It just kind of depends. Like, even especially if you're with only in like a week or two, there's not enough data. This one here, like I can just eyeballing it, I can find some levels. So, so this shouldn't be too difficult. I don't need to use the hourly chart. One thing I definitely look for is like trend changes on the hourly chart. So, like the short example we'll go through. So like here, so if we were trying to bottom fish it, like we'd open up the hourly chart and see like there was a pretty nice moving average cross right around here. So that would have been a pretty good entry there. And then like you have pretty easy stop levels here too. So those are kind of more what I lean towards, but we'll look at on the daily chart. So put in our support and resistance levels first. I usually do like 3 in each direction, give or take. So there. This could maybe go up a couple pennies, but I'm not too concerned about it. Okay, so we need a couple more support lines here. So we only got like 2. So again, I'm going to need to open up the hourly chart. I think here there's not enough details. So we'll open up the hourly chart and look for some more support lines here. So there, and then there. So if we go back to the daily, I couldn't really pick out any levels there. So these levels happen right in the middle of these 2 bars. So sometimes you have to open up the hourly chart or the 4-hour chart to try and find them, especially if there's not enough data from an IPO. So this one's basing under 34.22, and we're looking for a break above that. And like the moving average crosses here, that's one of my favorite indicators, just one I like using. It confirms that there's upward momentum, and it's like one of the main things I use when I do day trades. So just found it pretty reliable for the most part. The stochastic doesn't look great here. This actually looks like a short stochastic, but there's not too much data here. So it's probably not great to rely too much on those right now. So looking for a break upwards. So this would be more of a bottom fishing play here. So we're going to break up here, and then we want to get on a back test of 34.22. Profit 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a pretty nice air pocket here, so it might reach up there if it can clear the mid-Bollinger Band. And then we got our stops here, so we'll put those in quick. It's hard to pick out trend line here. I probably won't even bother. This has broken the downtrend though. It probably would go down somewhere like that. Not too much point of putting an uptrend. It's just kind of bull flagging right here. And then you just want to make sure it's not a fake out and then just keeps dropping. But that's why we have our stop losses in place. All right. I've already been talking for quite a while. I'm going to try and speed these up because like this does take a lot of time. This is what I go through pretty much every Sunday. I have a watch list of like, I don't know, 100 or 200 stocks that I kind of comb through. So I look for one blue chip, one IPO, and then a couple like not as, large cap ones. And then I scan Twitter for, there's a few people I follow that have pretty good watch list setups, and then I just kind of look through those and see if I agree with any of them, and then I try and pick the best 4 that I see. And if you guys ever find better ones, like feel free to message me. Yours might be better than mine. I can't look at every single stock in the world. So buy target. So break and back test of 34.22. Again, sometimes these will just gap up over the resistance and run. So you have to be prepared for that too. So if you want to try and catch those, you're going to want to use like probably a smaller position size because it most of the time will come back and back test, but not 100% of the time. Okay, so break and back test of 34.22. Stop loss 1 will be somewhere around, we'll do it pretty tight here. We'll do 30, 34. Stop 2. 33.3, stop 3, 30, 32.5. Profit targets. We got 30. We'll probably skip the first one. So the 34.78/35 level will be somewhere I would watch. Probably wouldn't take target. That's only like 80 cents, so it's not too exciting, but just kind of keep an eye at what happens at that level. So we'll look for 35.5, 36.5, and then 37.5. Okay, so that's done. Next up, we're going to do Twilio. Internet's being a bit slow. Come on, don't let me down. Okay, so this is another breakout one. We got a cup and like an extended handle here. We're in a nice uptrend, and it's right about all-time highs, like very, very, very close. So I'm going to reset these resistance levels, draw our trend line. There, that looks pretty good to me. This one is looking a little bit toppy here. So I just exercise caution, but it's pretty bullish, so we'll see what happens. So we'll put in our levels quick. So I need top of this candle here. That'll be our breakout. There's one. These candles are really bunched, so it's kind of hard to pick out levels here. So we're in blue skies again, so we got to try and pick our levels out. So 151 looks to be the breakout level. So we'll do every $2 after that. 153, 155, then 157. So I'm going to just adjust these here. There we go. So we're looking for a break of here or back test of the trend line. Okay, so we're like, again, these are a little bit more high risk because like when you're catching like a moving average cross or something like that, or a stochastic cross, like there's a lot more room to the upside. Whereas here, like we're pretty close to the Bollinger Bands and stuff, so your upside's not, it's not as, there's a less probability of it getting there in a short period of time, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So like here, like it's got a lot of room to move up before it hits the Bollinger Bands, whereas here, like we only have a couple dollars room before it's probably gonna have to come back. So just something to keep in mind. But again, like sometimes they can just blast off like TTD and just go up like 10 or 20 bucks. So you never know. Okay, so we'll copy that, throw it in Slack. So buy target, break of 151, or back test to trend line. Stop. Stop loss one will be just under 150 probably. Yeah, we'll use like 149.8. Because it's probably going to come, it'll probably back test 150, would be my assumption, because that's a pretty big psychological number. And then we got 147.5. And then 143-ish. I don't know, let's use 145. And then profit targets. And again, you guys don't have to use these profit targets. Like if you're happy with it hitting, 152, 152.50, etc. Generally, I just try and put them at support and resistance lines and then take profit somewhere around there because usually it gets rejected from there or it has to base underneath. So you can have some powder for adding or whatever you need to do. So we got prop target 1, 153, 155, and 157. All right, so last example, we're going to go as a short setup. again, you don't really want, like, you want to try and catch the shorts up at the top. So like one I was looking at is this one. So like this is a much better short setup. Like, you know, kind not really a blow off top, but like an inverse hammer, which generally signals a trend change, especially when it's not a very big range. So if I were to bet, this is probably going to start sinking here. So like this, you're going to have much more profit, right? Like we're at the top of volume band, so we have all of this as potential profit for a short. Whereas if you're buying it, or sorry, if you're shorting it here, like your profit range is a lot smaller. But here your risk is higher because it's in blue skies. So just something to think about again. I generally do puts with short setups because your risk is limited, because you can only lose as much as you're putting in. But if you're shorting a stock, like you can lose an infinite percentage, right? Like in theory, like if you shorted Beyond Meat at $30 and it goes to 300, like you got smoked. Like if you had 100 shares of that and you didn't cover, that's a lot of money. So reason why I like to do puts more so than shorting the stock itself. Okay, so this had not great earnings from the looks of it. Oversold bounce here, and then kind of got rejected here. So we're looking for it to break under this line here and then keep sinking. Or come up a bit higher and then get rejected there. So I don't know what's going to happen Monday, right? Like I can't tell the future. So we just lay out a couple scenarios and then go from there. So we'll do closer. There, we'll use that. These are a little closer than I'd like together, but it's fine. So there's our profit target 1, right at the bottom of this hammer. That's a pretty nice air pocket there. There, okay. Yeah, so this is pretty good. Actually, like this is a nice profit target here. It's like a pretty big range. So when it's got an air pocket, that means like if it breaks that line, like it probability-wise should come down. Should come down and hit that. You know, there's a little bit of support here, but not too significant. Okay, so what we want for this to do is come up and test around like the 135 level and then start sinking, or come up around here, 134, or break 132.5 and then just sink. So there's a few different scenarios here. Kind of hard to draw a trend line on this too. Yeah, I'm not going to bother. Okay, so lay this out here. Okay, so buy trigger, back test of 135-ish, or break of 132.5 down. So then everything's just going to be the exact opposite. So instead of our stop losses being below our targets, they're going to be above our targets. So just the complete opposite of everything we've just done. So stop loss 1. So it's actually a buy stop rather than a stop loss in this scenario. So it'll buy the stock rather than selling it at your targets. So Stop 1, 130, probably 134. Yeah, 134. Stop 2, 135. Stop 3, 136. Profit 1, 131. Profit 2, 128.2. And we'll use 126. 126. Boom. All right. So yeah, that's generally what I'm looking for in when I'm doing our swing trades for each week. For this one, we also, like, if it had a moving average cross back upwards, or if like the stochastic started curling upwards, you'd probably look to maybe exit. Sometimes you can ride this a little bit longer. Just kind of, again, it depends on the person, and you'll have to decide if you want to kind of scale out on the way up or down, or what makes the most sense, and what makes you sleep at night. With swing trading, I generally prefer options and smaller smaller position sizes, because you never know what's going to happen overnight. And it's earnings season, so just be really careful you're not in any of these for earnings. I didn't even look if earnings are coming up for any of these. Yeah, so Twilio probably would want to be out by the 31st. So I'll have to make a note on Slack that we don't want to be in this for earnings. Cat just had its earnings. No idea when Slack's earnings are. And Disney has earnings on the 6th, so that's next week sometime. Awesome. All right, thanks, guys. Well, if you have any questions, let me know, and let's go make some money.